What's going on everyone? It's me, Mr. Ngọc, and this is Miss Mai from GIA ĐԻNH IELTS.
Chào các bạn.
So in this video today, we're welcoming Sophie, our niece, who come all the way from Cardiff, the United Kingdom, and we walk Sophie through a full IELTS speaking test. So first of all, be sure to smash the like and subscribe button below, so you're not going to miss any new videos from us. And we'll help you to be one step closer to the IELTS score of your dream and better English.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sophie. I'm from the UK, but I'm Vietnamese.
Sophie, can you really speak any Vietnamese?
Có chứ?
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Hi Sophie, ở độ tuổi của con thì các bạn ở Anh sợ nhất điều gì?
Sợ xem nào. Nhiều người vẫn sợ mấy cái xem nào spiders.
In the first part of the IELTS speaking test, I'm going to ask you questions about yourself. So the first question is, if you could time travel, then when exactly would you go? And why?
I would go into the future. Probably in like, maybe if we're still here in the 3000s. Yeah.
So if you could read minds, then who would you read?
That's a really hard question because there are 7 billion people in the world. And I have to choose one. I might choose my brother because I want to know why he hates me. Well, he doesn't hate me, but then again, I feel like he does.
If you really had superpowers, like those superhero kind of guys, then what exactly would you do with all your superpowers then?
There's so many possibilities. Like, I could be like, save people, and then I also could just hide it and no one will ever know. And I'll just be a normal person to everyone else in people's eyes. There could be loads of possibilities, but I would only know if I actually had superpowers.
Wow! I'm going to ask you to choose between two options. You need to state your opinions and explain why. Now the first one is cake or pie?
Cake or pie? Cake. Cake because I like cakes because pies are just a bit too, most of the time they're like just, how do I put this? I've never really had pies, so then I'm just really used to eating cakes more, and cakes just now taste better to me because I'm used to it.
Dogs or cats?
I like cats. Even though they hate people, I like cats. Dogs are just a bit too attached and they're really energetic, which I am not energetic at all. I kind of just watch films. So, cats, yeah.
Okay, next one. A day at the beach or a day at the amusement park?
Amusement park. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Because I don't like beaches. Because you can get sunburned, and then if you don't want to get sunburned, you have to have sun cream. And if you put sun cream, sand gets stuck to you, which I'm not up for.
Sand gets stuck to you. You get sun cream.
And then the amusement park, you just, a lot of fun, you gotta go everywhere.
Here comes the last question of part 1. Now, perfect teeth or perfect hair?
Perfect hair. Wait, no. Because if I get perfect hair, I could always get my teeth done at the dentist. And then if I get perfect teeth, I can always get my hair done. Well, I'll choose hair. Yeah, hair. Like, whenever you meet someone, like, you tend to see their hair and their face. And like, if you, like, when you talk, it's fine. I just choose perfect hair.
As you can see, those questions in part 1 were not really standard IELTS questions, but that really gave a good indication of how this candidate really performed in the IELTS exam. She had so many long pauses and she repeated herself quite often. There were many gap fillers in place, like, it's just, it's like, and her speech was partially disorganized and there were many fragmented sentences. In terms of grammar, aside from the first and second conditionals, she didn't vary her tenses and she only used present simple. She didn't know how to paraphrase, and there were occasionally some uncommon words such as attach. So for those reasons above, we will only give her a 6.5 for part 1. 2 of the IELTS speaking test. I'm gonna give you the topic card and you have 1 minute to write down any notes you want and 2 minutes to talk about the topic. The topic is, describe a job that you would not like to do in the future. Now, 1 minute starts. Off you go, the stage is yours.
I wouldn't like to be a doctor because a doctor's job is like really hard because you could do night shifts like all day and then your timetable, like your sleep would be messed up really badly. Also, there'd be like, you would have to like depend, people's lives would have to depend on you, and I don't know if I could take that responsibility because it's a really big responsibility to know that people are counting on you, and it's just like a job that seems it would be really hard just to comply with. And then also you would have to go through a lot of degrees, which seems really hard, and I feel like there'd be loads of other possibilities to do that could be with the same maybe salary that would be a better job just to go with. Other than being a doctor where you would just really have to like, your life would be devoted to doing that, being a doctor for a very long time, and you would not really have any time to go out because if one of the doctors was ill, then you would have to take their place. And then, yeah, just it seems like a really hard job.
This candidate seems to get more and more familiar with the format of the speaking test as the test goes on. There was obviously some very good use of colloquial language, such as be messed up, other than, or take that place. Also, there was less common vocabularies like be devoted to. So in terms of fluency, given the fact that her answers were too short, although her fluency was significantly improved, she only spoke like 1.5 minutes, so her overall fluency and coherence suffered. She didn't vary the grammatical structures, although there were some conditional sentences. So considering on those, we will only give her a solid 7.0 for part 2. And in part 3 of the test, I'm going to ask you whatever questions that come to mind. So what's your opinion on gap year then?
With a gap year, this could depend because usually whenever you're going into university, you would have to have your scores taken from your test. And because if you take a gap year, that means that maybe your scores could be higher, but then you have a chance of your scores being lower. So with a gap year, so if you're having, right now, if you have some low scores, but you want to go to a better university because there's not many universities open to you, you could take up a gap year, which means that you would just have to wait until your scores come out again, and then you could have a chance where your scores are bigger, or they could just be worse, which means you would just have to go to school where you wanted to go at first, which wasn't the best school, but it would be okay for your scores. But then still again, if you got higher scores, you could go to better school, but you just need having a gap year. Yeah. I think that it'd be a good thing because you can learn more about the world and gain more knowledge throughout all the countries, because there's still much that you could learn, and it could improve your studies and you would know more than most people would. That could be the case, or you could just have a really fun time.
Right, Sophie. So imagine you had £1 million and you had to spend all of it within 1 week. Then what exactly would you buy and what would you do with that?
I think that I would invest it into loads of houses so that I would gain back the 1 million really fast, or I can invest it into loads of companies, which then I would just get more money back.
Oh.
because if I wouldn't buy anything, I would just invest it into houses and then let people rent them, which then I could gain money back. Of course.
Okay, if you had like a job with higher salary and a job that you love more, then what would you choose?
I would choose a job that I'm good at. If I'm good at doing the higher thing, then I would probably choose that. But if I'm good at what I like,
then I would choose that because there's loads of chances that can make me more money, because if I have a lot of enthusiasm for it, then I know that I could do better things with the job I like. And then if I was really good at the job that has the higher salary, I would have to choose that because I know I'm good at it. And then, yeah, it just depends in your situation.
We have finally come to the end of the line. So in part 3 of the speaking test, there were no complex tenses, but there was certainly some good example of grammar, like have your scores taken or relative clauses being used in terms of colloquial language. There are certainly some good example too. Chances are, and that could be the case. And she repeated herself quite a few times with an extensive use of gap fillers such as like, is like, although the most noticeable thing that we could probably see is her advanced features of connected speech. So instead of saying good at it, she said good at it. For that reason, we will give her a 7.5 for part 3. Given her performance in the test, we would give her an overall of 7.0 for this full test.
Sophie, sao con không nhuộm tóc?
Tại vì chả biết đâu. Nếu mà nhuộm tóc ấy thì nghĩ là tóc nó sẽ khô ra không? Thế là kiểu nếu mà có nhuộm mình một ngày nhuộm bao giờ đâu không muốn. Thích tóc đen, thích normal.